bad luck today, or test. My point number one here is that the people who make it difficult for Muslims to be Muslims are not Jews or Christians, it's Muslims. And the people who make it difficult for the Christians to be Christians are Christians. It is your own fellow brothers and sisters who go to the same house of worship with you that make it difficult for you to be you. That's number one. Number two, I talk about how we all built these cathedrals for the worship of God. Whether you call it a mosque or a church or a synagogue, we build these big houses of worship. We claim that they are for the worship of God. When in reality, I dare to say God is the last one to enter them. Because in reality, they are not built for the house, for the worship of God. They are built for one's own glorification. I talk about this from my own tradition. I know that people build mosques to feel good that we have something, or to feel good that my mosque is bigger than the church next door, or that my parking lot is much more appealing than your parking lot. And so it's about me, it's about my tribe, it's about my glorification. God is not interested in that. I like it how in the Islamic tradition it talks about how you can worship God anywhere, everywhere. And you don't need to have a mosque to worship God. And when Muslims were going nuts about the minarets in Europe, there's nothing in Islam that says a mosque has to have a minaret. You can worship in your car. And don't make it a big issue. Because I said the same thing to Europe. Don't make it a big issue too. You know. So we need to ask ourselves, what is it that we are really trying to commit ourselves to? Is it to God? And if it is to God, God is not interested in politics. God is not interested in exclusivity. A God that calls me to disrespect others is not a God that I want to worship. Actually, that is not the God that we all worship. This is the God that we created in our own imaginations only to feel good about ourselves. Because the only way for me to feel good about me is to say that you are going to hell and the theology you have is wrong and bad. And we need to confront that as all of us. But I'm talking about the Muslim community too. Muslims need to confront that too and be very clear about where they stand. Number two, extremism is really the natural outborn baby of ignorance. Number one, ignorance of oneself. Number two, ignorance of the other. Oneself, you can never be you alone, as I said earlier in my presentation. And once you discover that you need others to be you, you become inclusive. And once you think that you can make it on your own, you become exclusivist, politically, socially, and religiously. And number two, ignorance of the other. Many people now think Islam is a religion that commands the worship of moon god, and I still, believe me, hear it on a daily basis, that Islam is a religion that commands us to worship the moon, the stone, the sun, that no, you guys don't worship the same God, all kinds of statements like that. Yesterday, I received an email from someone who said, either become a Christian, killed, or get out of America. 15 minutes later, I received an email from a Muslim saying either change, be killed, or get out of America. Interesting. Because neither is happy with my message of inclusivity. And they want us to say either this or that, as if God is this or that. My own experience is quite important. You know, I am a Muslim who decided one day as an imam to empower myself with the Christianity. So I went to a Christian seminary. I completely, for 3 years, excluded myself from the Muslim community and lived with the Christians in the Christian homes, worshipped in churches with the Christians. And you see the impact of that on my family. I love the Bible. I read the Bible as my own. And it's not a threat to my Islam, to my Quran, in any way, shape, and form. So I'm writing a book that will be called My Muslim Journey with the Biblical Jesus Christ. To tell the Christians that Jesus is not the other for me, he is also me and mine, and my hope and dream, and my vision for the future. I used to think that Christianity is completely on the other side. Having gone to a Christian seminary, been allowed by Christians to be a part of their communities, I discovered that, wait a minute, these are not really the other, they're really me in so many ways. And when I did my master's thesis about the return of Jesus at the end of time, wow. So Jesus, the divider, could be actually Jesus, the unifier. So what I say is ignorance leads us to extremism. How many Muslims are willing to study Christianity and Judaism and Sikhism and Buddhism and Hinduism? And how many Jews are willing to do that and Christians are willing to do that? To go out of your way and live in someone else's home and territory, feel at home, learn from them, and be ready to adopt their own vision too. That is, for me, the best way to confront and fight extremism. I have practiced it, I have been there, and know exactly what it is. For my PhD, I decided to study Judaism. And when I had to do a paper about orthodoxy, and I had to go to an Orthodox synagogue, it was tough. It was really tough the first time I had to do that in Philadelphia. But I had to go where no people go and be ready to listen and observe. Wow, it's a beautiful religion, man. Wonderful. In so many ways, I find myself in the Psalms. I find myself in the Torah, in the Tanakh, in the Midrash. I find it me and I find them in me and me in them. So wait a minute, the Israeli narrative, I need to hear the Israelis too. And they need to hear me too. So that ignorance that I was able and ready to confront is what we all need to confront in ourselves. Learn from the other, from within, not from without. The last thing I want to say is this. Extremism is also the natural outward baby of the attempt to marginalize the humane message of our traditions. The humane message, compassionate message of our religions are not focused on in our daily lives. Maybe once a year, or when they serve our political interests. That has to come back. And believe me, it helps open hearts, souls, and minds. I just came back from Afghanistan. I have in my Facebook 1,943 people. Now I have 2,000, almost 500 people, most of whom from Afghanistan. Of people when I met in Afghanistan only a month and a half ago were not interested in anything called America, anything called Christianity or Judaism or the other. Now are calling me on a daily basis if we are Facebook saying, what can we do to learn more about the Christianity? What can I do to say to Christians, I love you? That's the way.